Hey, I did a really cool story for the New York Post about Amy Winehouse. It's pegged for the upcoming movie, Back to Black. Everybody thought of her as being a total train wreck. That's the word that most often gets used when people talk about Amy Winehouse. But it's easy to forget how amazingly talented she was and how she embraced New York and was embraced by New York for the time that she was here. For a story in the New York Post, I spoke to a bunch of her old friends and just heard some great tales about Amy. First of all, her first New York performance was at Joe's Pub, and that blew everybody away. The interesting thing was, amazing as the performance was, the guy who booked her there said that she was drinking and she got drunk and she could barely stand and she was stuttering and slurring her words. Afterwards, even Jay-Z said to her, "Hey, you don't stutter," when he was talking to her following the show, because she was pretty wrecked. But her voice was amazing, her performance was amazing, and she kept asking for Midori sour cocktails. And somebody told the guy who booked her, "Oh, why don't you just line up a bunch of drinks at the foot of the stage? That would be pretty good for her." And he's like, "Yeah, I thought that was a terrible idea." And he kind of saw what could happen if she wasn't careful and wasn't looked after properly. Certainly, Mark Ronson saw her at her best when he recorded her. I mean, she was incredible. He produced her big album here, Back to Black. And I talked to one of the guys who played with her, and he was shocked by how pitch perfect her voice was, what a professional she was, how great she was. But she also had her moments. One of the guys who was her good buddy from England talked to me about being out with her one night in New York at a kind of cool Lower East Side nightclub that he was involved in booking. And somebody there from an indie band in New York made a coarse comment about her boyfriend, and she didn't like it. She slapped the guy in the face. He didn't like that. So he went outside, he called the police, called the paparazzi, but it was to no avail because she knew the guy who was running the night, and the guy running the night knew the owner. They ran out a back door, ran to an upstairs apartment, sat at the window and watched the police and the paparazzi and the guy from the band all looking for Amy. But of course, she was, 3 stories above laughing at them. Everybody had great memories of her in New York. I mean, even the people who were like, one guy who was a bartender at the Soho Grand, where she always stayed, and he later became the keyboard player for the great band Florence and the Machine. He said to me that he just didn't think it was going to end well, and he was right. It ended badly. She went back to London. She couldn't get a visa to come back to America to perform at the Grammys, and things sort of unraveled from there. I mean, she's missed, and it's sad that things ended the way they did for Amy. But I hope my article made people realize that there was another side to her and that people in New York loved her, and she loved New York to the point that she even talked about moving here. How cool would that have been if Amy Winehouse lived in New York? I think it would have been great, especially for the gossip guys at Page 6. They would have gotten a lot of material and she would have gotten a lot of ink, and we all would have enjoyed reading about it, no doubt.